I look at every day in camp with him. He looks amazing, speed, power, mentality.
Yeah.
What do you tell Manny if he's watching?
The most important thing is experience. Experience is for Manny Pacquiao. It's power, speed, and everything. I think Manny Pacquiao is the new world champion.
Okay. Depending on his conditioning, right? Depending on how much he can pop in on that instep that he brought to me, that notorious fast instep. If he can pop in that instep, and if Pacquiao can get in, you know, I know he can hurt Mario Barrios. I hurt Mario Barrios on multiple occasions. Tank hurt him. So I know Pacquiao can hurt Barrios. I
think Barrios wins. I think young, and it's hard with age. But I think if anyone was going to do it, Manny Pacquiao's the next.
Manny Pacquiao getting back in the ring again for a world title fight.
Well, obviously, it definitely has to do with money. 1, 2. I think Manny Pacquiao, I think his C game is a lot better than anybody, a lot of guys' A game, even with the age. But you have to take into account the last time he stepped foot in that ring, man, against Ugas. You know, he didn't look good. He was outmatched by, you know, a fighter, a younger.
I can every day come with him with this amazing speed power mentality. What do you tell Manny watching? Hey, the most important thing is experience. Experience is for Manny Pacquiao is power, speed, and everything. I think Manny Pacquiao is the new world champion. Okay. Depending on his conditioning, right? Depending on how much he can pop in on that instep that he brought to me, that notorious fast instep. If he can pop in that instep and if Pacquiao can get in, you know, I know he can hurt Mario Barrios. I heard Mario Barrios on multiple occasions. Tank hurt him. So I know Pacquiao can hurt Barrios. I think Barrios wins. I think young and it's hard with age. But I think out of if anyone was going to do it, Manny Pacquiao's the net. Less than a week remains before Manny Pacquiao steps through the ropes once again, and the world is watching. For many pros, this fight feels like a time mistake. The return of a 46-year-old boxing icon, 4 years removed from the sport, once again preparing to go to war against a champion from the new era. Some call it madness, others call it Pacquiao's destiny. Manny Pacquiao getting back in the ring again for a world title fight. Well, obviously it definitely has to do with money. 1, 2, I think Manny Pacquiao, I think his C game is a lot better than anybody, a lot of guys a game, even with the age. But you have to take into account the last time he stepped foot in that ring, man, against Ugas, you know, he didn't look good. He was outmatched by, you know, a younger fighter. Terence Crawford has weighed in on Pacquiao's return with a surprising level of optimism. Despite the age gap, despite the time away, Crawford is backing Pacquiao. His reasoning is simple and rooted in boxing's oldest truths: power, experience, and the mental edge that comes with having walked through fire before. I got him winning, Crawford said. I just think the experience, you know, the power is going to take him to a victory. It's a view that's both generous and grounded in what fighters feel in their bones. There's something different about legends, even past their prime. And for Crawford to publicly back Pacquiao, especially when the tide of youth is on Barrios' side, speaks volumes about what he still sees in the Filipino great. I said, and there's a kill or be killed, you know. I know, you know, like if he has been hurt at any point, you know, he's going to be the same way. Like I said, you know, it's just my job, you know, just to work on everything. Me and my team have been, you know, training and drilling, you know, these last couple weeks and, you know, finish off these next 6, you know, as best as we can, you know, so I could go in there come fight night and, you know, still retain the title. But even as Pacquiao trains for another shot at gold, he's not immune to doubt. In a BBC interview, he admitted that returning to the ring after so long comes with risks, not just physical, but reputational. I'm worried for my reputation, he said plainly. But I'm making sure that I'm not a kind of fighter like other fighters that come back, but they are not showing what they did before. Pacquiao with 62 wins and 39 knockouts to his name. Doesn't seem to be chasing glory blindly. He knows what's at stake. The legacy he spent decades building could take a serious hit if he's overwhelmed by a younger, hungrier Barrios. But what stands out is his conviction. He wouldn't have come back if he didn't believe he could still win. There's no shortage of voices chiming in on how this clash could play out. Keith Thurman, the man who once held the same WBA belt that Pacquiao took from him in 2019, has a unique perspective. He's faced both men. He knows what it's like to be inside the ring with Pacquiao's aggression and unpredictability. He's also stood across from Barrios, beating him over 12 rounds just 2 years ago. Of the two, Thurman is leaning slightly toward the younger man. "I just slightly favor Mario Barrios," he told Fight Hype. "I think we're in a new generation and this is a sign. Pacquiao loses to Barrios and it's out with the old." That phrase "out with the old" stings. But Thurman isn't being disrespectful, he's being realistic. Time spares no fighter, and boxing is a sport where youth, hunger, and mileage matter more than almost anything else. He pointed to Barrios' potential to push the pace and expose Pacquiao's age and reflexes, something your Dennis Hugos did effectively when he beat Manny in 2021. Yeah. Money was just younger. He's younger. He's big. He's a big boy. I mean, he still has a little bit more youth in him than Manny. You know, Manny, if I'm not mistaken, I think Mario Rogers is probably same size as Margarito. I think so. Like 5'10", 51 around there. Yeah. And Manny at this age. Still, the past has never defined Pacquiao. If anything, he spent his career turning doubters into believers. Juan Manuel Marquez, the man who knows Pacquiao better than almost anyone else, is placing his bet on the older warrior. The two fought 4 times in one of boxing's most iconic rivalries, and Marquez knows exactly what Pacquiao is capable of. "This fight is dangerous," Marquez said. "But I think Manny Pacquiao is the new world champion." "I think so." He cited experience as the defining factor. Not youth, not size, not momentum, experience. To him, that edge outweighs the physical disadvantages Pacquiao will face against Barrios, who is 6 and taller and 16 years younger. But Marquez has seen this story before. He's felt the angles, the bursts of speed, the deceptive power. In his mind, those things don't fade with age as quickly as people think, especially if you're Manny Pacquiao. Are you cool with Pacquiao against Mario Barrios? I am. I'm cool with it. If I was cool with Manny Pacquiao coming back and fighting Keith Thurman, I'm definitely going to be cool with this one. Bars is not a puncher. Thurman was a one-time one of the biggest punchers in boxing. I think he's going to be just fine with Mario Barrios, who we know what he is on the top level. He comes up short. He's been stopped by fighters that are less than Manny Pacquiao, Tank Davis. So I like this fight. I think he's not going to be an overwhelming favorite. The danger, of course, isn't just that Pacquiao might lose. It's how he might lose. At 46, there's no such thing as a learning experience. Every mistake is magnified. Every missed punch, every lapse in timing can become a highlight for someone else's career. Pacquiao isn't coming back to go the distance or give a good account of himself. He's coming back to win, but the margin for error is so small now. And Barrios, for all his inconsistencies, is no pushover. He's big, strong, aggressive, and durable. Even though he's been beaten before by Gervonta Davis and Keith Thurman, he's not the kind of fighter who folds easily. In fact, against Davis, he was winning on some scorecards before the knockout came. Against Thurman, he stayed competitive, never quitting, always pressing forward. He's got youth on his side, and that alone makes him dangerous. What do you have to say to all of your fans tuning in for your fight coming up? What's your message? And July 19th, tune in, man. It's going to be a big night. Whether you're a supporter, whether you're with me or against me, hey, tune in. It's going to be a great night. I'm no defending my title against a legend. And I know there's going to be a lot of, Filipinos in tennis. There's going to be a lot of Mexicans, there. And it's going to be a good night of boxing, and I think just, for the world of sports, and I'm ready. Thurman knows that, and he's not counting Pacquiao out entirely. In fact, he mentioned something very specific that could swing the fight back toward Manny's favor. His footwork. That trademark burst Pacquiao uses to close the distance. That quick instep that troubled Thurman throughout their fight might be the key. If he can get in on that instep, and if Pacquiao can get in, I know he can hurt Mario Barrios. Thurman said, that's not just flattery. It's tactical. Barrios has been hurt before. Abel Ramos rocked him. Davis dropped him. His defense has holes. And if Pacquiao can time that old rhythm again, there's a chance he can land something meaningful. Thurman called Barrios' defense suspect and emphasized that the younger man is not hard to find. That's a dangerous weakness against someone like Pacquiao, who built his career on hitting opponents from odd angles and overwhelming them with flurries they never saw coming. I mean, it's hard to know, at the age of Pacquiao, what we're going to get from him, but I'll tell you this, depending on his conditioning, right? Depending on how much he can pop in on that instep that he brought to me, that notorious fast instep. If he can pop in that instep and Pacquiao can get in, but that same flurry, that same intensity requires legs, requires speed, requires conditioning. And that's where the biggest question mark lies. How much of the old Pacquiao still exists? Because it's not enough to have the knowledge or the instinct. If the legs don't follow, if the reflexes betray him, Barrios could walk him down and pour on volume late in the fight. Thurman hinted at that possibility, saying if Barrios can pepper him with the jab, keep him moving, and drag him into the later rounds, he'll be favored to win. That's the likely path for Barrios. Make Pacquiao work early, slow him down, and capitalize on fatigue. Timu didn't hesitate. Standing in front of the media, fresh off a press conference and with cameras rolling, the Australian star made his thoughts clear. He doesn't see Manny Pacquiao.